I don't know if you realize this, but there's over 30 million Nintendo machines in America. It is the most popular computer in the world now. Adults don't buy it for themselves. Teenagers burn out on it. These little children want it so bad they've bent the world into serving them and getting it. Now I ask the question, why? I mean, all the adults need the computers and they're not buying them, and these little children somehow have got enough power, despite their being in this little box that they're in, to warp the world into getting them these things. 30 million of them in the U.S. Well, it's really stunned me. So I started to say, well, what is it that engages kids? How is it that what is it that makes this Nintendo thing so engageable? And I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but at first I thought, well, it must be the color graphics, and the sounds and stuff. Or the themes, the fact that this is about turtles and that's about Batman, or whatever it may be. But as I started to really pay attention to kids, and I hooked up a bunch of kids, put microphones on them, connected them up to VCRs, and I've still got some of my favorite tapes, and watched the children play Nintendo and asked them to tell me what they were doing. And I was just blown away. I was just blown away. These kids were manipulating many different logical types, many different categories, making inferences, dealing with multiple representations, solving problems, challenges, learning how to operate on their own frustrations. Yeah, I agree. I didn't like the fact that some of them were shoot-em-ups and bang-ems and things were dying and all the rest of it. But they're just taking what comes. They're not attached to that. Some of the games that they like the most have this long adventure corridor in it. It doesn't have anything to do with that. What they like, and what was such a powerful, insight for me when this first hit on me, was that these games individualized the process of coming up against a wall, being challenged. I mean, first they were challenged, right? They want to play this game. It attracts them. So they start to play this game, and then all of a sudden they're right to the edge of being frustrated. I don't want to play this game. And they get upset. And then right there on that frustration level, if the game is too far over their head, then they pull out the cartridge and slam it down and try something else. But if it's at all close, what they start to do is to start to stretch out and find what else is around here. They start to discover what are the resources. They know in the back of their heads that somewhere connected with their frustration, it's a tacit knowing, that there are the resources somewhere in the game architecture to help them blow through that frustration. They know that. That's the way the games work. So knowing that there's resources there somewhere in the game, they go and they start to experiment with going to find these resources and bring them back and operate on whatever's frustrating them until, boom, they blow through that and move on to the next stage. And that's the inner architecture of this game. And that's what I think children want to do when they're learning. I mean, in order to learn, you're necessarily going to bump up against frustration. It's not a smooth sail. You're going to go to places when you're being stretched beyond what you're comfortable with. There's going to be an edge to that, which is very much like the frustration there is in playing a game. So the question is how do we empower children to have the kind of resources that if they were there, they would begin to articulate their needs, find those resources, and then use those things to go forward to sustain their own engagement.